Today I'm reviewing a 1956 Ford Thunderbird. The Thunderbird was introduced to the US market in 1955 as a response to the Chevy Corvette, which had come out 2 years prior in 1953. Since Ford was trying to respond quickly to the Corvette, the Thunderbird underwent rapid development, going from an initial idea to a first prototype within a year. The vehicle hit lots toward the end of 1954 as a 1955 model, and the Thunderbird saw continuous production from 1955 to 1997, and again from 2002 to 2005. Over that time period, we saw 11 generations of the Thunderbird, and Ford sold over 4.4 million units. They also sold the vehicle under several other variations using the Mercury and Lincoln brand names. Now, although the Thunderbird came to market as a response to the Chevy Corvette, rather than focusing on performance and handling, Ford instead decided to focus on luxury and ride quality. And as a result, the Thunderbird initiated the creation of a whole new class of vehicle that came to be known as a personal luxury vehicle. And it was a very popular class of vehicle for several decades, but by the end of the 1990s, the class had basically diminished to non-existence. The Thunderbird was also a huge sales success for Ford. In its first year of production in 1955, it outsold the Corvette 23 units to 1, selling over 16,000 units compared with 700 Corvettes. The initial starting price on the first generation Thunderbird was $2,944. This 1956 model, the Thunderbird, is part of the first generation, sold from 1955 to 1957, had seating capacity for 3, and it was a convertible with a removable hardtop. But over the years, we saw a number of different configurations on the Thunderbird. It was sold as a convertible, a coupe, and a sedan, and seating capacity ranged from 2 to 6. Now, in terms of styling on the vehicle, this first generation model in particular has definitely gone down as a classic. It shares a number of design cues with other Ford vehicles from this era, and it actually shares a lot of parts as well, but overall it's got a much more sleek look to it, a more luxurious look, and a sporty look to kind of keep up with that Chevy Corvette. Starting up here at the front of the vehicle, you'll see that we've got the singular circular headlights. Down below we've got circular blinkers. We've got the hood scoop up here, which resembles the unique Thunderbird emblem slightly. We've got a very large grille, obviously a lot of chrome, and then we've got a very futuristic bumper here for the time that gives it a little bit of that space age look. Coming around to the side of the vehicle, a really nice sleek look here, some very clean lines. Nice set of hubcaps, the white wall tires. And then you'll see that on the side of the vehicle, we've got this little chrome ornament here, giving a little bit of style to the vehicle, also giving it kind of a sporty appearance. And we've got the Ford emblem for this time. This little cutout in the fender is actually a vent to bring air into the cabin of the vehicle, so that flap actually opened up to directly direct that air into the cabin. Again, very futuristic looking side mirrors here, match that bumper. You will see we've got this little glass panel that folds out here. That's so that when you've got the hard top off, helps to minimize that wind coming into the cabin. Now, in 1955, when the Thunderbird first came out, this hard top, the porthole was an option, so you could purchase that as an additional feature. Then in 1956, it became a standard feature. The Thunderbird was also available with a retractable soft top. That was a $290 option, so we don't actually have that on this vehicle. And then the vehicle also came standard with a tonneau cover, which was basically a cover for the cabin area. So if you went somewhere and you parked it and there was really intense sun, you wanted to protect the cabin from heat, UV rays, or rain, that just popped on through the interior. You can see we've got these little buttons here that it would just attach to. You'll see on the door here, we've got a little piece here that slides out to give us access to the key. Got the side skirts on the rear wheel wells. Thunderbird lettering on this tail fin, another feature, again, very common in vehicles from this era. And then just as we saw at the front, we've got the single circular tail light here, really cool design, backup lights, and we've got our brake and tail lights integrated into that single element. One thing that we do see change between 55, 56, and 57 is this whole rear configuration on the vehicle. So starting out in 55, this spare tire was actually in the trunk of the vehicle. Then for 56, they did this Continental kit to bring it outside of the trunk to increase cargo space in the back. One downside to this configuration is that it did affect performance of the vehicle in terms of handling slightly. You will see a slight change with the exhaust as well. The exhaust previously would have come out of the back here. With the 56, you'll see that it's integrated into the bumper. Pretty cool design. And then for 57, they actually put the spare tire back into the trunk, and in order to do that and allow you more rear cargo space, they actually extended the rear end of the vehicle. So pretty cool look all around. Obviously a lot of chrome. And you'll see in general some really nice clean lines on the vehicle, and certainly quite a few design cues that have helped this vehicle to go down as a classic. Looking inside the Thunderbird, you'll see it's got a really cool interior. Just love the fact that vehicles from this era, they put so much attention to detail into their interiors. They were so dramatic, so stylish, and just really, have a very classic look to them. Compared to today's modern vehicles that are pretty boring in comparison, this interior is pretty cool. Particularly like the two-tone color configuration with the teal, and they've got some really nice brushed aluminum and chrome accents throughout. The vehicle also comes with some pretty novel features for its time. You will see that this vehicle is equipped with manually operated windows, but they did have the option of power windows. Also got a 4-way power seat. And you will see that we've got a bench seat here, kind of has the look of 2 bucket seats. So it's much more comfortable for 2 passengers than 3, but we do have the capability to put a 3rd occupant in the middle here. Steering wheel is quite large. The vehicle is also equipped with power steering, and our horn is integrated into this piece here. So you just push in on that to activate the horn. Looking inside, got our headlights here on the left-hand side, air for the driver's side, and then over on this side we've got air for the passenger side. Mentioned before those cutouts in the front fender, basically a little flap that opens up right here. And you can see inside the vehicle, right here is where that air would come through. Emergency brake right here, tachometer, speedometer, which is really cool. You'll see as we come around up here, it's basically got a clear cover on the top, and so the light is able to pass through here, and we've got this little plastic piece with the speedometer that goes up to 150. So pretty cool look there. Got the odometer behind that, our fuel gauge, temperature gauge, and we've got blinker for driver, passenger side, analog clock, cigarette lighter down below here, and then we've got our radio. Also got a little light there, rear view mirror up above, and this vehicle is equipped with an automatic transmission. So we've got our gear shifter on the floor, but you can see all around a very cool look inside. Portholes really add to the look in this particular vehicle. It is worth noting that this chrome wraparound on the spare tire cover was added aftermarket, so coming stock from the factory that would have been body colored, but this is a pretty popular modification for people to make that are restoring old Thunderbirds, and it really does add a lot of bling to the back of the vehicle. You see that with that there, access to the fuel tank and trunk lid is a little bit limited. So to retract this back, we've got a lever down here, just push down on that, and the spare tire drops out of the way, giving us access to the fuel tank. And then to open up the trunk lid, got to pull back that little flap. We've got our keys, 1 key for the ignition, 2nd key for the trunk lid, pretty common on a lot of older vehicles like this. Put that key in, open up the trunk, and you'll see that it's fairly spacious, although you can also see that on a 1955 model, if you would have had this spare tire in the back, cargo space would have been very limited. So you can see why they made that change in 1956 and why they increased the area for 1957. The Thunderbird is rear-wheel drive, and it did come standard with power steering. To get to our engine, we've got a reverse opening hood, which gives the vehicle a pretty cool look when this is up. For 1956, you had your choice of 2 different engine options. Base engine was a 4.8 liter V8 with 202 horsepower. That's a slight bump from what we saw in 1955. And then it also had an optional 5.1 liter V8, which had 215 horsepower if equipped with the 3-speed manual and 225 horsepower if equipped with the 3-speed automatic transmission. 0 to 60 time on the vehicle is going to be roughly 10 seconds, and fuel economy is going to be in the range of about 12 miles per gallon in the city and 15 miles per gallon on the highway. All right, so I don't know if it's just unique about this vehicle or not, but to start it, we've got to push down on the top of the gear shifter here, put it down into neutral, keys over here on the left-hand side. Pull it out slightly to get it to turn on. Pretty nice sound of that V8, and then push in again and shift it into drive. Pretty abrupt little shift from the transmission there. We'll be on our way. One thing that is definitely ridiculous about these old classic cars is the steering wheels are huge, and even though I mentioned it's got power steering, on some of these tighter corners it sure doesn't feel like it. You've got to work pretty hard to get the vehicle to turn. You can see we've got a great sound to that V8. Not really all that powerful when you think about the horsepower compared to today's modern vehicles, but it sure sounds like it's a lot more powerful. The exhaust has got a really nice note to it. Has been modified a little bit aftermarket to give it a little bit more of a rumble. But even beyond the exhaust, just driving the vehicle, there's just this vibration inside the vehicle where you can just feel the V8 you know, moving around and shaking the vehicle. It's got a pretty cool feel in that sense. The other thing that's really unique about this vehicle is looking out the front. We've got bulges at both the driver and passenger fenders where the headlights are, and we've got the bulge in the center where that hood scoop's located. Likewise, the windshield is very unique, having that curve on both sides. Just gives you a really unique perspective. And one thing that's a little bit odd about it is in the areas where it really curves most dramatically, you've almost got a little bit of a kind of distortion in your image. It's almost like a little blurry in those two spots, so it kind of gives you a weird illusion, but still very cool perspective looking out of the front of the vehicle. Obviously this whole dashboard that we've got here is really cool too. I just love the attention to detail. The speedometer in particular is one of my favorite things on the vehicle. I just love how it's got this little plastic plate on the top and that natural light's coming through from behind. It kind of changes the image on the speedometer as you're driving. Just a really kind of innovative design for that time. You know, as far as the handling in the vehicle, as I mentioned before, despite this vehicle kind of being designed to compete head-to-head with the Corvette, when it comes to performance and handling, that's not really the focus here. It's about being a very comfortable, luxurious vehicle, and I suppose they accomplished that, although I probably need to drive a 1956 Corvette for comparison, because by today's standards, again, this vehicle's not all that comfortable. It's got pretty springy seats. You definitely have to work steering. The ride's definitely choppy, but you kind of expect that for a vehicle of this vintage. All right, we'll go ahead and do an acceleration test here. Hear that rumble. Got a great sound to it. It doesn't matter that the 0 to 60 is only about 10 seconds. It still sounds super powerful. Really great exhaust note. One thing that is definitely, you know, different about these older vehicles is the braking. They take a lot more effort to bring the vehicle to a full stop. You almost feel like your foot is on the pavement just dragging it to a stop. I used to have a 69 GMC pickup and it was the same thing. You just had to really work to stop it, and that's certainly true with the Thunderbird as well. When you're coming to a stop, it takes a lot more effort, a lot more planning ahead time to make sure that you can get the vehicle to a full and complete stop. Definitely the thing that's most enjoyable about it is that V8, which just has a really nice rumble to it. The other thing that's really cool is driving this around town. You get like this gaze and head follow from every single person that you pass. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be a kid, teenager, an old person. Everybody can appreciate this vehicle because it's such a cool classic car. Really a one-of-a-kind experience driving this. So that's the 1956 model of the Ford Thunderbird, a very cool vehicle all around. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. For more car reviews, be sure to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.